Hey, brother.
Hey, brother.
So, we were talking about The Godfather earlier, off
Yeah,
camera,
yeah,
and you were talking about. I don't even remember. Can just take it. Just take it from here. What was
yeah.
it?
Well, I wanted to talk about basically a character analysis between Vito, who's played by Marlon Brando, and
Right,
Michael, who's played by Al Pacino. So it's a father and son,
right.
and kind of go through the. Um, there's a really weird thing with The Godfather where there's so much history infused into it, even
Yeah.
when it's coming to character development. So let's talk about Vito a little bit.
Okay.
And
Okay.
when you watch Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, you kind of see Vito from like a young man all the way to adulthood and his death. So you get
Right.
a good view of his character. But
Yeah.
Vito is someone, he comes from Sicily. He goes to the United States. His parents have been killed. His family is gone. He's escaped Sicily. Um,
Yeah.
in the United States, really, it appears like his motivation is survival. He wants to survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
He gets a normal job. He gets fired from the job because a person who has better connections gets his job, who
Right.
isn't as good for the job.
Yeah.
So getting a job back in these days was a rigged system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, um, there's this fake mafia guy who works for like the Black Hand or something like that,
Yeah.
who's extorting people and basically being like, "Hey, I'm working for the mafia. You have to pay me, otherwise you're gonna get it from the Black Hand."
Right.
He doesn't work for the Black Hand. He's a phony.
Right.
Okay, Vito figures this out. Like, so
Yeah.
this guy who is Sicilian is extorting other Sicilians, and Vito finds this offensive.
Yes.
Okay, so the criminals, it's a rigged game.
Yeah.
It's rigged. The police are not helping these people out. They don't care
Right.
about these immigrants that have come to America. This is like a common theme back in the day as well. Like, this is a real thing that happens.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
care about the immigrants coming into
Right.
America. It's
Right.
rigged.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, no matter what you do, you're going to lose. You try and play it straight, you're going to lose. It's rigged. You try and
Yeah.
go through the law, it's rigged. And if you try and go through the crime thing, that's rigged too. So what Vito does is he becomes basically like the boss of his area by killing off this phony mafioso guy,
Yeah.
and he is uh, actually a agent of good in a
Yeah.
chaotic society. He
Yeah.
wants what's best for his family. He wants to spend time with his family. He wants to do right by them, and he also wants to do right by his community. He wants to kind
Right.
of be the police officer. So like, there's this kind of like shady landlord who's kicking a lady out of the apartment because he can get more money from somebody else. But what he
Yeah.
blames it on is the fact that it's the lady's dog, that she's not supposed to have a dog at the apartment. So
Yeah.
technically, she's not supposed to have a dog at the apartment, and yes, technically you can kick her out. But the real reason why you're kicking her out is probably because you can make more money with somebody else than with this old lady.
Right.
So he tells the guy, like, she stays, and the dog does too, because I know what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, and he gets his way because he'll basically rough you up
Yeah.
if you're doing something wrong. So now we're like pushing forward, and Vito understands the game. And when Michael comes around, he's trying to set Michael up for legitimate success.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Yeah.
want Michael in the family business.
Right.
Uh, he's also, it's really interesting because there's so many examples of it. The first scene of The Godfather is this coroner who's coming to him because his daughter is assaulted and beat up by these guys, and the police
Yeah.
don't do anything about it.
Right.
So now Vito is coming in to basically act as judge, jury, executioner on
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
guys that are escaping the justice system because no one's going to care for this poor, immigrant coroner who has no power.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like it's anyway. So that is basically Vito. Vito is he's a byproduct of a rigged game.
Yeah.
But
like, he came into a system where he tried to go through the legitimate channels, and the legitimate channels were not legitimate.
Yes.
So he became this powerhouse, this bringing order to chaos in kind of the only way that he was able to.
Yes. And then so now we're going to move forward a little bit. Now there's a guy called, I think he's like called the Turk or something like that. And he wants to bring drugs in.
Right.
So like the mafia used to be mainly like a gambling alcohol operation. Yeah. And he wants to bring drugs in. And there is the people who kind of know better will look at alcohol and gambling and go, there's maybe like 10% of the population who cannot handle it.
Right.
But it's profitable and still a net positive for a society.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not good, but it's still, there's still you can still maintain a society. Yeah. And then they look at drugs and they go, this is something where it's almost like a flipped situation where 10% of the population doesn't get totally addicted, life ruining because of it. And this is actually a destructive thing, even though you're making a lot of money off of it. I'm not interested in making money. I'm interested in doing things that benefit the community. Right. And I need to be in power in order to do that. But drugs is going to destroy the community. So Vito doesn't want to get into the drug trade. This is actually historically accurate because there are actual mobsters, gangsters, whatever you want to call them, who have followed through pretty much like this exact same beat for beat life thing where they either came over or their parents were immigrants. They're in a super rough neighborhood. They have to learn how to survive. The system's totally rigged against them. They get into just gangsterism. And then there's a point but there's like a rule system, and they're always giving to their community. Yeah. They're always they're always giving food at Christmas and all this stuff. And then once drugs come into the thing, these hard drugs, they don't want any part of it. And they end up getting whacked by the younger guys who are coming in that were they're not a community-based, family-based person. They are a for-profit individual. They're like, why would I do something illegal that's only going to make me $100 when I could do something illegal that's going to make me $10,000? Yeah. But it's like, but what they're doing is destructive. So, that's Vito. Yeah. That is his character and why he is the way that he is. He had to be that way. But then when the world changed, he can't change with it because it's going down a destructive path, and he's actually a net positive for his community and even really like for the world in a small way because the world was so corrupt back then. He does more good than he does bad for society. Yes. So, Michael is a completely different animal altogether. So Michael isn't raised with in this like survival kind of situation. What Michael wants is kind of like he wants the normal life, and he can't have that with his family. So he's constantly trying to escape from his family. Like he wants to get away from them. Really, no matter what the cost is, he wants to get away from them. Yeah. So once his father is shot and now Vito's in the hospital and people are getting sent there to kill him, and Michael has to be like, I can't let people kill my family,
Yeah.
you know, and he chooses the life. He's now stuck in it. And this is the thing Michael never realizes. He never realizes that, like, once you get, like, 1 foot in, you're in.
Yeah.
You never get out. Maybe
Yeah.
your children can, if things
Yeah.
go according to plan, like you plan it. Your children can, but you don't actually ever get to get out. You're always in it. So Michael
Yeah.
is in a constant state of trying to escape it as fast as possible, and the route he takes is not one of, not a good one. It's a destructive one, where he's like, I
Yeah.
gotta get, if I want to become legitimate, I gotta get rid of these guys.
Yeah.
And what Vito would have done was worked with these guys, because Vito's you're in the life.
Yeah.
What Michael does is get rid of them.
Yeah.
And then what Michael does is he's like, well, if I get a casino, I can go legitimate. But the way he goes about getting the casino is as a as a mafia boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like you can't get out when your way in is through crime. Like,
yeah.
You can't get out. You can't become legitimate by framing United States senators.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
through the means of the mafia, you're trying to get out of the mafia.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I want to stop being a basketball player. Well, stop shooting the basketball.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just keep shooting the basketball to stop being a basketball player. I think that's the weirdest analogy ever given, but
No, it makes sense though. It's like his path toward trying to become legitimate is by breaking the law further.
yes.
You know, like, I'm gonna try and do this illegitimate thing, and once I've completed that, once I've done that, then I can, like, you know, have a path toward legitimacy.
Yes. But you just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, instead of what Vito did, which was like actually brought his family community together and was looking out for people, Michael's actually doing the exact opposite, because Michael's trying to get out of it, and his approach to getting out of it is a destructive one. He's destroying everything in his wake, so his family gets destroyed in the process.
Yeah.
Like, his businesses get destroyed, his business partners, like anyone involved or even close to Michael ends up dead, basically.
Yeah.
So it's like, it really is. It's interesting because it's actually accurate. It's accurate to the history of it, where you start seeing these, like, kind of like 19, you know, what is, like, 60s and 70s gangsters that are so vicious and so over the top and so destructive that people were like before there was like kind of a code that people would follow, because you still need to maintain your community and your family, and you want to have a life.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that you're a criminal. And then it shifted to, now it's just destruction, and it's just make as much as you can for as little work as possible, and you're just destroying everything in the process. And you've got just people, you know, whacking their family members and for no reason other than just paranoia.
Well, what is it? Is it just the separation of a generation where they don't, like, they just, because they're brought up in a different way, like Michael's brought up kind of in a more sheltered upbringing, or is it something else entirely? Like, is it just that times change, or is it just like ignorance or willful ignorance? You know,
it's what it is it's America's a great case study for this, because it's when you put Andrew Jackson in charge for 4 years. He's gonna do things in a very, maybe like, aggressive, violent way to get the job done. Then when you put somebody else in charge for 4 years, you know, they might do it in an outlandishly passive way.
Yeah.
So there might be some people, Lincoln might be a good case study of somebody who's very kind of like calm, even keeled, philosophical, but also aggressive
Oh yeah.
towards what he, now we now know what he was doing was totally correct. They didn't
Yeah.
back then, but towards what
Yeah.
he believed at the time to be the absolute 100% correct action. And
Yeah.
he pushed and
Yeah.
moved in that direction aggressively, but he was also very like passive and reasonable at the same time. So Vito kind
Yeah.
of follows that, where Vito will be very aggressive, but
Yeah.
also very passive. Michael's very aggressive, but he tries to come off as being calm and reserved, but he's actually he's not calm and reserved the whole time. He's super
Yeah.
like it's hard to do it because Pacino's performance is so freaking good because he's constantly like tense. You can see a tenseness, but
Yeah.
you don't consciously see the tenseness. You just feel it instinctively when somebody is about to explode, but
Yeah.
he never explodes. He just has you whacked,
Yeah.
and you don't
Yeah.
know it's coming. He's just
Yeah.
like got that just yeah. It really is one of
It
the
is
better
okay.
performances.
That is interesting. Yeah, it is sort of like Vito's default is to be passive but watchful,
Yeah,
and then Michael's default is to be aggressive, and so he is restraining himself. He's pretending to be passive so as not to show his cards.
yeah,
So he like when something doesn't go his way, he like immediately thinks like, okay, how do I get rid of this guy?
yeah. Well, he's
As opposed to Vito.
yeah. It's the what's it called? Like when the guys are coming to kill Vito in the hospital, and
Yeah.
there's like he's with the other guy, and they're pretending that they have guns. They don't have guns, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then he's like the guy's trying to light his cigarette, and he can't do it, and Michael does
His
it
hands
for
are
him.
shaking. Yeah. Yeah.
So Michael's outward appearance doesn't show how he's feeling on the inside,
Right.
but he is explosive on the inside, but it
He's
never
sunny.
comes out. Yeah, he has the sunny, but it doesn't come out. The only time it comes
Yeah.
out is when he ends up hitting Kay in the second film.
Yeah.
He kind of explodes on her.
Yeah.
There's other times that he explodes, but it seems like it's more intentional than it's him losing his cool. Because he does it with who does he do it with? But he does it with when there's an assassination attempt on him at his house where they're shooting out the windows in the bedroom.
Yeah.
He's like, my wife, when my children sleep in their bedrooms, but
Yeah.
he'll say one of them with a yell, and then he says the other one like calmly, and it's like a performance.
It's a performance. Yeah.
To show like I care about this, get it done. I'm pissed. He's doing it to get people motivated.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting character because his primary desire is to escape from the stuff he doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah.
And his approach towards that is very streamlined. And because it's streamlined, it's not a good approach because it isn't diplomatic.
Yeah.
It's you give me what I
He's trying
want.
to force his way through.
Yeah. Like, okay, you're going to give me the hotel? Oh, you're not going to give me the hotel. Okay. Like, that's it. That's all you get, buddy. And now you get shot through the glasses.
Yeah. Yeah. What is that saying? It's when all you have is a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail.
Yeah. Wasn't that in a Mission Impossible movie?
I think so. I think so. But it's apt here. Like it works for the way that Michael deals with things, the way that Michael tries to figure out an issue, a problem.
Yes.
It's like, okay, if they're not just gonna give it to me, then I'm gonna make them give it to me.
Yeah.
And Vito, Vito's very calculated. It's really quite fortuitous that Coppola got arguably the two, maybe three best actors in history to play these two characters.
Yeah.
In that, like, Marlon Brando, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino at their absolute peak.
Yeah.
Al Pacino at his peak. It was like his first movie. But
It's all three of them doing one of their best, if not their best performance. All
yeah,
three of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
and portraying extremely complex characters
Yeah.
who have a lot going on inside, and trying to portray themselves very passively,
Yeah.
in spite of that.
Yeah. De Niro plays the young, the young Vito.
The young Vito,
Um,
yeah,
and yeah, really, really brilliant performances.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's I mean, the Godfather movies are so, like there's so much there that I feel like we could go in depth and talk about the Godfather for like 3-4 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
You can go into.
yeah,
I mean, even little scenes. Yeah. There's so much there, and there's a lot of there's a lot of history there, and there's a lot you can learn about history from watching The Godfather. And I love the part where Michael's talking about like whacking the like police officer guy, that chief of police guy, and they're like,
yeah,
"You can't do that." And he's like, "We own some of the papers, right? Why don't we just write a story?" And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, that's the guys who own the newspapers.
yeah,
Like who
yeah.
owns the news? Oh, it's at least back in the day. I'm not saying anything about today. Don't whack me. But back in the
Yeah,
day, they owned it. Who owns the unions? The mafia owns the unions.
yeah,
Who owns the
yeah.
senators? The mafia owns the senators. Like like they're just so kind of like they have their fingers in like everything, and they own like the courts and the judges, and yeah, it's just it really was like that. It
Yeah,
really was. There's a lot of like accurate history to it where they're just shaping policy and the news, and they're creating laws and getting rid of laws that benefit them.
yeah, yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
It just makes me want to rewatch them. Um, every once in a while, not often, but every once in a while, I feel like I want to give The Godfather Part 3 another chance.
I have never watched it.
Okay, because you were afraid to watch it.
Yes.
So I watched it,
Yeah.
and I was like, I mean, no, nobody likes the third one.
Yeah.
Um, but every once in a while, I feel like, man, I need to go back. Maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe I missed something. Maybe this is just, like I went in expecting to hate it because I've
Yeah.
been hearing my whole life that I was going to hate it.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking of it like it might have been Halloween 3, where you go into it not knowing Michael Myers is not in there,
Yeah.
and then like, what the hell is this? And then you watch it again, and it's like, it's actually a pretty
It's
good
actually
movie.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Coppola's a great filmmaker. Like even some of his, lesser stuff,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that was actually really good. I always forget that The Outsiders is a Coppola film, but The Outsiders is Coppola. The Black Stallion is Coppola. Bram Stoker's Dracula is Coppola. And it's like, man, like even some of his, like, I don't know, C-list stuff is better than like 95% of the stuff that's out there.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to rewatch The Godfather Part 3, and there's a little more insight there
How many times
that
have
I
you
just
seen
missed.
it?
Once.
Once. Okay.
I never went back to it.
Yeah. I think you probably should, but I haven't watched it because people. Anytime I tell people like, "Oh yeah, I've seen the first two, I love them," I haven't seen the third one. Every single person is like, don't watch it.
Yeah.
And like, I haven't met a person yet who was like, "Oh, you need to watch that, dude. Like, you got to finish it off." No one has said that. Everyone's been like, "Don't watch it." I'm like, well, then I'm gonna be the one guy who doesn't watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the like, if I show people movies, it's like, oh, you gotta watch these
Yeah.
movies. Yeah, I show them Godfather Part 1 and 2. I don't bother to show them the third one. And I show them Rocky 1 through 4. I don't bother to show them the fifth one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do skip, though. We skip and go to the sixth one, because the sixth one is still really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah, yeah. But even the fifth one. So going off on a tangent on Rocky now.
Okay.
Rocky 5 is not good.
Yes.
And like every time I rewatch it, I'm hoping like, hey, maybe I
Yeah.
give it another chance. It's not good. But there's a really good scene in it, and it's a flashback that has Mickey.
Uh,
Do you remember this scene at all? Like you might not remember the movie well enough to even remember the scene, but he goes back to the old gym,
yeah.
and there's this flashback sequence where he sees himself in the ring, and Mickey's just giving him like a pep talk,
Yeah.
and it's an awesome scene, and like it's like any scene in any of the good Rocky movies. Like it'll get you emotional.
Yeah.
It's the only good scene in the entire movie. So I mean, along those lines, like The Godfather Part 3 has, has the line. It has the, every time I try and get out, they
Yeah.
pull me back in. It still has the thing that everybody quotes.
Yeah.
There's probably still a lot of good in it, and I'm just not able to get past the fact that it's not as good as the first two.
Do they quote it because it's a good line, or do they quote it because Al Pacino had his scratchy alcoholic voice at this point? Right. That's why Al Pacino. That's what happened to Al Pacino's voice, right? He was an alcoholic for like.
Yes.
Yeah, and it kind of scratched the voice up. I think it's the voice, not like the line.
I mean, maybe, but it's not like they quote. Well, I guess they do quote all of his other
They
movies
quote
too.
they quote his other stuff too.
It's not like people are like "hoo-ah" all the time. Like, hey, hoo-ah. I think it was so much.
What?
Say the name of the movie. You know what he's absolutely great in?
What?
I think it's an underrated performance of Al Pacino's. Dick Tracy. He's
yes.
good in that movie.
Yes. He is
oh my gosh.
phenomenal. That movie has great star power in it.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, it's such a fun one. Dick Tracy, gosh. I haven't done that one in a while.
I gotta rewatch that one. Alright. I think we can move on. You had an idea for a film.
Yeah.
I've given you an idea before. It's kind of like a purposefully bad idea.
Yeah.
And we have to try and make it good. We have to try and make it watchable for an audience. You had one for me.
Yeah. It's a bad idea. I think more so is because it's a difficult one. So here's the thing.
Okay.
The whole movie takes place in a closet. There's two characters in a closet. Go. That's the idea.
Okay. Feature-length movie, two characters, they're in a closet. They never leave the closet.
I don't know if they never leave the closet. I would say the audience never leaves the closet. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So if either of them leave the closet, or if both of them leave the closet, the camera stays in the closet.
Yes, it stays in the closet.
Okay. All right.
It could be like a pantry as well, if it has to be something like that though.
So the fact that it's a closet's not quite as important as the fact that they're in that confined
they're in a
area.
Confined area with like a single door leading out, and there's definitely something going on outside.
Yeah.
But it's hard to tell what it is, and you're kind of piecing it together maybe by them, and what they're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Just by the noises outside or by the conversation that they're having.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what we'd have to do first is figure out why they're in there. Okay. I'm assuming they're hiding. There wouldn't be any other reason that I feel like would keep them in there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or for an hour 40.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, you put ski masks on them, and this could very easily become a character piece about these two people that went in to break into a house, and then whoever lives there woke up.
Yeah.
And so they're just like in the closet, waiting for them to go back to sleep.
So if they robbed somebody, though, is this a more rich person, which means they might have like a larger closet? Nice stuff there.
I'm okay with that as long as it doesn't feel like it's cheating, where it's like you gave me a very very specific parameters, and it's like, well, let me just expand upon those parameters. And like, if it's cheating, then I'm not gonna do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a small closet.
It's a small closet.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't even need to necessarily be that the person woke up. It could be that um, like maybe the cops are there for a completely unrelated reason.
Yeah.
you know,
Do
like a noise
can
complaint or something.
can we see outside of the closet if they open the door, or can we only see inside of the closet? Meaning the
That's a
audience
good
can
question.
only see inside the closet, and once the door is open, you have to be facing in towards the closet. You can't actually see anything out of the closet.
That's a good question. Um, okay. How about this? Not to expand upon parameters, but
Yeah.
let's say that if they leave the closet,
Yeah.
we can see out of the closet as long as they're the only two characters that we can see. So
Oh,
like
okay.
if we see them like running back and forth between the doorway,
Yes.
or if like they're out and they're like talking to
Yeah.
somebody
Okay.
else, talking to someone
Yes.
who's off camera.
Okay. So the cameraman is the third character.
Yes. Like if we're operating under the assumption that
Yeah.
we only have in the budget two actors,
Yes. Two
so
actors.
we can't
Two
get a
actors.
third
One
actor.
cameraman.
Two actors, one
Two actors.
cameraman.
One
That's all
cameraman
that's in
with a
the
good
budget.
voice.
Yeah.
So there's three characters in the closet.
It's just what? Oh,
Do you,
it's like a
do you know
found footage now.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like it's not. He's not an actual what's it called. You're just getting what he's seeing, and he never leaves
Yeah.
the closet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Okay. Jeez, now my head's going in all these different directions.
Yeah.
Because it could be a number of things. It could be a found footage thing. It could be, just like three like teenagers doing a YouTube vlog
Yes.
and they like break into someone's house. Or it could be kind of like a coming of age type of story where it's like it is teenagers and they're in like the house of like some girl that one of them has a crush on.
Yeah.
And then they end up like hiding in the closet so that she doesn't like find them in her house. There are a number of directions you can
Yeah.
actually take this that could turn it into a pretty interesting character study. Definitely a comedy,
Yeah.
although not necessarily.
Yeah.
I said definitely and then not necessarily.
I mean, yeah, it could be kind of like a horror film,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they're hiding from something in the closet, or
The
they're
gimmicky
using.
stuff you can use very effectively in a horror film.
Yeah. Because then you can kill off. You can even kill off a character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh.
What?
I just thought,
Yeah.
If it were something like a zombie apocalypse,
Mhm.
and they were hiding inside of a closet,
Yeah.
and there's like zombies out there, you could have one of the characters like get out and then like die outside of the closet and then come back as a zombie. So like we can still have just the two characters,
Yeah.
but one of them ends up coming back.
Here's the thing. I like the idea, but the only reason why I don't like it is because zombies
Yeah.
are so played.
Zombies are played. Yeah.
You know.
So are werewolves. uh, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I probably wouldn't go down that path for the exact same reason, where it's just like, oh, it's another zombie found footage film, it's another zombie film, but the gimmick this time is that
Yeah.
you spend the entire hour and 40 minutes inside of a closet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like why?
Yeah.
Why are they in a closet? Why can't they?
I-
Why are they having trouble leaving the closet?
Yeah.
Would it
Yeah.
even? Yeah.
I mean, you could have it be, oh my gosh, you could have it be a really heavy drama. And it's like two younger children, almost like teens or preteens.
Oh. Oh.
You know why two kids might be hiding
Because they're
in a closet.
Because they're afraid of their parents.
Yeah, or one of their parents.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's like an abuse situation. I mean,
Okay.
well, I hate to say it,
Yeah.
But this, I think, is actually the idea that we would have to go down. We'd have to go down that path, where it would be like probably a brother and his younger sister,
Yeah.
and he's like inside with her, and their dad is like beating their mom.
Oh.
Uh,
This.
because then
Yeah.
the closet
Yeah.
and being inside of it the entire time and that claustrophobia
Yeah.
becomes this massive obvious symbolism
Yeah. Yeah.
for how these kids feel.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it could be really good if it's executed really well. It might actually be a really good movie, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like at that point I feel like the symbolism is too strong to ignore, where it's like almost with any other film, you're either doing it for laughs or because it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
But with that particular premise, it's like, no, this is symbolic. Like, these are children. They're stuck there.
Mhm.
Like, they can't get out even if they wanted to. And then it's just kind of this, this character development between these two kids, their relationship with each other. This, like, young kid who's, like, I don't know, 12, who has had to grow up way too fast. And it's just, like, it's just their kind of mental journey and mental anguish. It could be a very powerful character piece.
Yeah, and then you'd have a scene where like one of them sneaks out to get them like food or water or something, you know?
Yeah.
And they're they go down the stairs because maybe the closet's upstairs, so they go down the stairs. And then you're seeing like the dad, coming across.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like hopefully he doesn't come over and
Yeah.
in the closet.
But that, I mean, even if if we wanted to go down that road of like there being, oh gosh, like it's getting me emotional talking about it.
I'm too scared to go down that road.
I know. I don't want to go down that road, but it makes a lot of sense for like one of the characters to leave.
Let's go back to the zombies.
No,
I think it'd be a good story. I think
nothing whimsical.
I feel like it's a good story for somebody to write who's been through it.
Yes, I agree with that.
And then for them to kind of tell the story, because man, it might be out of our depth a little bit. I don't know. Well, it's something like if somebody was like, I want to write this story, it's something I feel like you or I could like, hey, we'll co-write it with you, or like shadow write it for you.
We would want desperately to do justice to it.
Yes.
And that's kind of that's kind of why I wouldn't want to tread down that path, is because it's like I'd be doing my best to like do justice to the story without really knowing, and I'd rather someone who knows like really kind of like get into it.
Yeah.
But no, what I was gonna say is the technique of like having the camera in the closet.
Yeah.
And not being able to see outside of the closet.
Yeah.
That is especially effective for something like that. If one of the kids leaves and walks out, and it's like if something happens, that being off camera starts to make a lot of sense. Like you don't want the camera to go out of the closet.
Yeah.
You want to stay in the closet with the camera.
You're right. Yeah. Oh man.
Ugh.
Yeah. And then the son's just like, you don't know nothing, Dad.
Comes back with nunchucks. You gotta like make it like a little whimsical so that we don't feel like total crap.
Ties a headband on. I'll come back.
Yeah.
Slingshot.
We like talked about that for like 3 minutes, and I'm like exhausted. Like,
that was I think it's a great. I think it's a great place to go to. That your brain went there, because it actually is the best story that you would tell for this.
Yes.
And it's I don't know. I feel like there used to be movies where like you'd watch them and you'd get almost a glimpse into somebody's life. And what it was like, and it would give you empathy. Yeah. And nowadays they try and do that and fail miserably most of the time.
Yeah.
Because you're living too cushy of a life. Sorry, but But if somebody was
Yeah.
going through something, if somebody who went through something like that, to
Yeah.
give a story like this a rock solid foundation, so you
Yeah.
could tell the story and have people watch it and actually have them change how they're doing things. Somebody who is maybe this bad person
Yeah.
might actually change from watching
Yeah.
this and realizing it from the other perspective. Uh,
Yeah.
you can actually, that is a story that's, yeah, it would be, I think,
Should be told.
yes, it should be told. Just,
Yeah. I think you're right. Like movies used to be like the way that they are now versus the way they used to be. It's almost like they're trying to be relatable, but they used to be personal. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
It's like you can try and relate to as many people as possible, but what used to attract certain people to a certain story is that it felt personal. And there were people who related to it, and then the people who didn't relate to it empathized with it.
yeah.
And like, they felt something because of it. It wasn't necessarily because they went through it too. Um, like I'm not a huge fan of movies that just feel like life. And it's like, a lot of indie period pieces are kind of like that, where it's like, this is what it was like, and nothing happens, and it's like, okay, cool, but like I already did that, like last week.
Yeah.
It's called living life. Like, show me something. Show me. Like, there's nothing vulnerable about that. You're not taking any chances. I don't think, as a writer, by trying to relate to as many people as possible. You know, like trying to be the popular kid, not really a lot of risk in trying to be the popular kid. But being vulnerable and being personal and going down a road that you don't want to go down. Um, Generally speaking, I feel like audiences respond to that. They respect it, and they empathize with it. So yeah, I agree. I think a story like that should be told.
Hmm.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
You know what we need? we we need a breakdancing movie. You were
Yeah.
actually the one who told me this.
Yeah, because that whole gosh, I can't remember her name.
Raygun.
Raygun, because
Raygun.
Raygun was in the Olympics for breakdancing. So
Yeah.
if anyone has seen the movie Eddie the Eagle, it's about a guy who does that like long ski jumping thing, and what he found
Right.
was like he wanted to be in the Olympics, and he found out that like the qualifying for the long ski jumping thing was only like 30 whatever yards or feet, miles. I don't know how far they jump. Anyway,
30 miles.
It was a certain distance that he felt like this is actually obtainable for someone who's not even really good at this.
Right. But it's all he needs in order to compete.
Yeah. So
Okay.
he got to where he could do basically like the bare minimum just to qualify. And then because he was for, I don't know, England or something like that, and there was basically nobody else doing this in England, he now gets to represent England. He's the top England long jumper on the skis.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like the Jamaican bobsledding team. Nobody else is bobsledding in Jamaica. If you can qualify, you're going to get in.
Right.
So Raygun kind of feels a little bit maybe like that, where either she just qualified or she kind of knew how to like play the point system so she would qualify best. The sad thing about it is they should bring back breakdancing to the Olympics. I think it would be a big mistake for the Olympics not to bring it back. I think everyone's going to watch it if they bring it back.
I agree.
It's got hype. I think you bring back. I would bring back Raygun and whoever the woman is who got gold medal.
Yeah.
Sorry, no one knows your name because Raygun stole the spotlight. But
right.
I think that's what the movie should be about. It should be about this exact story. Raygun goes out there. She's doing her best. She's not trying to destroy breakdancing for everybody.
Right.
But she's not an Olympian. She's not at that Olympic quality level, unfortunately.
Right, but she qualified for Australia.
Yes. So she's
Right.
down in the dumps. The gold medalist wins a gold medal in an Olympic sport that now everyone thinks is a joke. And it's not a joke.
Right.
It's not. And like...
Right.
And I think that's the story. The story is these two doing it, and I think the Olympic gold medalist gets in touch with Ray Gunn and is like, you like, are you planning on trying to do breakdancing for the next Olympics? And Ray Gunn's like, no. And she's like, you should. And if you don't, I'm going to try and get you to at least get you there so you can be like one of the announcers or something.
Yeah.
Because it's basically a redemption story for these two characters.
Yeah.
Ray Gunn needs the redemption of, you didn't destroy breakdancing for the Olympics.
Right.
You know? And you should be taken seriously. Even though you weren't so great. And the Olympic gold medalist, it's a redemption story for her because she won the gold but kind of lost.
Yeah.
It got
so
lost
no one knows
in
who
this,
she is.
Yeah, it got lost in the noise of this thing where, like, if she's telling someone like, yeah, I won gold in the Olympics for breakdancing. Do you know Ray Gunn? Are you better than Ray Gunn? Like, yeah, I'm better than Ray Gunn. And the thing is, like, when I watched Ray Gunn, I was like, okay, yeah, Ray Gunn's not great. Like, I've seen women doing breakdancing as good, if not better than Ray Gunn, because, you know, like, we were raised in LA, and like, you're gonna see
There's
professional
a lot
dancers.
Of people.
You're gonna go to, like, you know, prom and see professional dancers. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
We've been to weddings where they're like.
Yeah, where you're getting
professional breakdancers.
Yes, you're getting at professional level people.
Yeah.
At family parties, at proms, you go to some random church dance and there's just 15 pros on the floor flipping around. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
But the gold medalist, I actually watched some of the, like, higher up women, the gold medalists, the medalists, and they were, like, incredible.
Yeah.
Where I've seen when I watched the men, I was like, okay, like, you guys are really good, but I've seen it.
Yeah, nothing I haven't seen before.
Yeah, like, I've seen guys doing all the stuff you guys are doing. You guys are incredible, but I've seen it. I have seen it.
Right.
You know, like, it's like if you slam dunk a basketball. Like, I've seen it. I can go to like the local park rec center and watch a dude slam dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, you know? But what the women were doing, I have never seen in real life women doing this stuff while breakdancing. To the point where I was like, I didn't even know women could do that. That, like, the physical strength and the spins and the moves they were doing was, like, incredible. Where I was like, this is as good as any guy I've ever seen. This is incredible. Yeah. And it's like, so, like, that's what it is, where it's like, you go to your local park and you see a woman slam dunk a basketball, you're going to be like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
Because you don't see it every day.
You never see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, like, this thing's people are acting like this whole breakdancing thing is a joke, and these women are freaking incredible.
Yeah.
And, like, I think it would make a good movie. I think it's a good redemption story.
Yeah.
For both characters, and I think that both of them should be. I think the gold medalist at first, at least, should be really mad at Ray Gunn, you know. Yeah. But then once she kind of, like, gets over it and decides, like, okay, I'm gonna try and go back and make this thing happen. But the Olympics would be idiotic if they don't capitalize on this.
Yeah.
Like, bring it back, capitalize on the publicity.
Yeah.
Ray Gunn went viral. Don't worry about the fact that, like, just you bring it back now because it's going to be a popular thing that people are going to want to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't think before about her becoming an announcer, but, like, that's oh man, what is his name? Mr. Baseball. Bill Eunice?
The dad from Mr. Belvedere?
What is that? Who it was?
The guy from Major League. He's it outside. Yeah.
Yes. He was an actual baseball player.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I can't remember his name for the life of me, but his nickname was Mr. Baseball. And I think that he like held the record for being on the Johnny Carson show as a guest more often than any other person.
Really?
I think so. I could be wrong about that. I'm maybe dead wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. Um, but he was a baseball player, and he had a really bad record. He was not a good professional baseball player.
He was Mr.
But
Bad at baseball.
he was, yes, but he was hilarious. So Johnny Carson kept having him on, and like he'd bring a picture, and it was like him and the entire team in the locker room, and they're all like drinking champagne. And he's like, "Oh, what is this? Is this you guys celebrating after the game?" He's like, "No, this is all us grabbing a drink before the game." He's like always making fun of how bad he was at the game. And then he became an announcer. He became a baseball announcer.
Yeah.
And so he was like one of the biggest names in baseball for like decades because he played and he was on Johnny Carson and then he was an announcer. Yeah, like Ray Gunn becoming an announcer, and if she's like a good announcer, just be like if she's a good personality, she could be like the face of breakdancing.
Yeah.
In kind of the same way that this dude, Mr. Baseball, was, even though he wasn't really a great baseball player.
And if she's not a good announcer, you could always have her like one of those like field reporters out there, because then at least she's talking to the other breakdancers.
Yeah.
And then they're just playing off of each other. But I do. Yeah, I hope they bring it back. I hope they bring back breakdancing. I can't see it being a good idea not to bring it back.
Yeah, I agree. And it would make a fun movie. Just like the 4 years of them kind of like they make up, and then like maybe they're training together, or they're trying to get the Olympics to bring it back and to bring both of them back. Yeah, that could be a fun movie. I would watch it. I think that'd be pretty good.
What happens at the end? That's the question. Does Ray Gunn doesn't make it?
I think that Ray Gunn performs.
Yeah.
To like an audience that's just going nuts,
Yeah.
Because it's like Ray Gunn's back, and maybe she's still not the best there, but she's noticeably better because she's been training with the best.
So she doesn't make it as an Olympian, but she's in the opening ceremonies.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. You know what the opening ceremony should do?
What?
Do they ever have ex-Olympians in the opening ceremony?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I rarely watch the opening ceremony. I mean, maybe I should. They put on quite a production a lot of the times, but I'm like, it does seem like one of those things where it's like, here are the best athletes in the world, and now here's a bunch of like normal people doing a production for you, and it's like, what? Like just like put like Cirque du Soleil in there or something. Like put some amazing athletes in the opening ceremony, and
just
I'll watch that.
The
That probably
athletes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just skip the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
The opening ceremony should just be a swimming pool, and Michael Phelps is standing at it. Once Michael
belly
Phelps
flopping into the pool.
Yeah.
Some
Michael
other guy
Phelps
struggling to get upstairs. These guys can't even lift a gold medal. Like, what are they performing for? Like, let's get some athletes in there.
That's what they should do. They should have normal people trying to do the stuff that the athletes are gonna do. So it's got some guy trying to lift the weight.
Dude,
Just kills himself. Guy jumps in the pool, drowns.
That's a great idea.
Somebody running. They're running the mile, and then like 20 minutes later, it comes back. They're still running the mile.
That's a great idea. You want to really show how impressive it is what these Olympians are doing? Show some normal people trying to do it in the opening ceremonies. You just hand like a pole vault stick to some unlucky guy who's like, oh no! And he has to try and pole vault.
Should we say that hockey players have more skill than like a basketball player simply because they have to go do everything they're doing on ice skates. And doing that in and of itself is hard enough. If you've ever been on ice skates and you're always falling on your behind, I can't
Yeah,
like I don't think I've ever
I
gone
can't.
ice skating without just falling down. And these guys are like skating backwards and smashing into each other.
Yeah, yeah. I can't Yeah, put me on ice skates in the opening ceremony to really show how impressive hockey players are. Well, I think that those were some good pages. So until next time, I'll see you later, brother.
Literally.